Imagine walking into a crowded bar and then somehow vanishing without a trace.
Trigger warning. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Hey, welcome back to Katie Knows Crime. Today we are going to be going over the case of Brian Shaffer. Brian was born February 11th, 1979 and grew up in Pickerington, Ohio. He was described as outgoing, funny, and intelligent. Brian had attended the Ohio State University College of Medicine, where he planned to become a doctor. Friends had said that he loved music and even played guitar. But in early 2006, Brian's life had become extremely difficult. Just weeks before he disappeared, his mother had died of cancer, something that deeply affected him. Honestly, losing a parent that young has got to be devastating, and people close to Brian had said that he had been under an incredible amount of stress. March 31st, 2006, the night he disappeared. Brian had just finished studying for exams and decided to go out with friends to celebrate the start of spring break. He met up with his friend Clint Florence, and later he ran into another friend, Meredith Reed. Eventually, the group went to a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloon, which was near Ohio State University. At 1:15 a.m., security cameras captured the group riding up the escalator to the bar. Everything had seemed completely normal. At 1:55 a.m., cameras had recorded Brian standing near the entrance talking to two women. During the conversation, he even put one of the women's phone numbers into his phone. Then, Brandon turns, walks out of view of the camera, and that is the last time anyone saw him. The two women later told police that he had appeared to walk back toward the bar entrance. When the bar closed at 2 a.m., Brian's friends had began looking for him, but they couldn't find him anywhere, calling his phone multiple times with no answer. Eventually, they assumed that Brian had simply gone home with someone else, but he had never arrived home. When Brian didn't show up to a planned spring break trip to Miami with his girlfriend, his family had reported him missing to the police. Police had then immediately focused on the bar. Security cameras had covered nearly every exit. Investigators carefully reviewed hours worth of footage. They saw Brian entering the bar, speaking to the two women, then walking out of frame. But they had never saw him leave the building. And this is exactly what makes this case so famous. It feels impossible. How can someone disappear from a crowded bar with cameras everywhere? Investigators had later discovered a possible explanation. There was a construction area with a service exit near the bar, although it wasn't commonly used by customers. If Brian had left through that door, he might have avoided the cameras entirely, but police could have never confirmed that he used it. Police had searched the bar, nearby buildings, dumpsters, nearby rivers, and construction areas, but nothing was found. More than 100 people were interviewed by police, including bar staff and the two women that Brian had talked to, but there was still no answers. Over the years, there were a few bizarre developments. At one point, Brian's phone had rang after his girlfriend called months after his disappearance. Investigators had later determined that this was likely just a network glitch. Another strange moment had came in 2008. After Brian's father died in an accident, someone had posted on his online obituary a message that said, "Dad, I love you, Brian." Police had traced the message to a public computer and determined that it was a hoax. I can't even imagine how painful that must have been for the family. When someone disappears like this, every tiny clue feels like hope. Brian Shaffer has been missing since April 1st, 2006. He was just 27 years old when he disappeared. Despite years of investigations, no confirmed sightings have ever been verified. His case remains one of the most baffling missing persons cases in the United States. And honestly, that's what makes this case so unsettling. It feels like Brian just stepped into a crowd and somehow disappeared from the world. Let me know what you think about the case of Brian Shaffer and what you think happened to him. I'll see you in my next one.